Jessica Ballou Buckley. I'm a faculty member in the higher ed program and have been at U of L teaching in this program for 9 years now. So have a soft spot for our program, and we have lots of great alums out there. I was trying to think, you're at Duke, is that right?
That's correct.
I
Yep.
think immediately if we have somebody at Duke right now. We also work with ROTC programs, so sometimes we have people there for that. And Alex,
Awesome.
you can introduce yourself too. Do you want to introduce yourself, Susan?
Oh, my apologies. Thanks, Jess. Hey, Sean, I'm Susan Hildebrand. I'm a recruiter and a career strategist for our department. So I support our faculty in these wonderful virtual information sessions and can provide any additional information you may need afterwards. So welcome. We're always, thrilled to see you.
And I usually ask Sean, folks who are coming, if there's a particular thing they're most looking for out of a master's program, something that they are hoping to find, or what brings them here today, if that's a question too. So if you want to share, you can. No pressure.
Yeah. So I have been involved in education and higher education in a couple different ways. I worked as a teaching fellow for a little bit and then was in the high school classroom the last 5-6 years, teaching high school science, and now am working back for Duke University as a staff assistant in the program in education. And it's always been something that I've really enjoyed and been a part of. And while I did like high school teaching, I was kind of looking for some of my talents. I feel like, and my strengths are good at organizing things and kind of that getting things going, which helped me be a good, effective teacher. But I was feeling ready for another challenge, something different, and I kept getting called back here. So I was like, what would be the next steps for that? What could I look at? And that's kind of my thought, and started doing some research and came across your guys' program. So
Awesome.
I was looking for some more information. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I do feel like higher ed can offer this, folks who know they want to be in education, but determine like the classroom is not exactly the right setting, but there are gifts that they have, like you said, of organization, administration, of leadership, there's teaching opportunities for sure, but there's lots of really fun and rewarding opportunities in higher ed. So glad you have come to that possibility. Well, if you want to get started, I can just share some of the basic information about the program. We do have a few things put together on a few slides that I can share with you, and then we can just have a conversation if there's questions I haven't answered or things like that, if that sounds good. Perfect. Okay, I'll share my slides again. These come up for you, okay? Perfect. Okay. So I will say we are a Master's of Arts in Higher Education. So I know you can find some Masters of Ed and those sorts of things. So we're Masters of Arts in Higher Education. And there are tons of careers. You may have already come upon this kinds of thing as you're kind of like thinking about the career possibilities, but they range from things that are a lot more sort of like, student facing and student oriented, like residence life, our student affairs, dean of student affairs, those sorts of things, which you may imagine, to things that are potentially more business oriented. So like a registrar, our Title IX coordinator, that kind of does both, right? Like policy kind of thing comes up for that person a lot, like making sure universities are in compliance, but also sometimes serving students who might have complaints. So you kind of span the gamut of the kinds of things that you can do, which can be kind of enriching because you might be able to kind of span some careers, especially as you're beginning to think about what you want to do. And if you were to just Google, like if you were to look at Duke, like what jobs are available, you would probably see a lot of those administrative staff jobs say preferred masters in higher ed or related field, or student affairs if you're in the really student affairs facing side of the house. So we have another student affairs program here at U of L. Most of those classes are in person, so not everyone can kind of cross take those classes, but sometimes if they are, we would certainly allow somebody to take some of those classes as well. So lots of great careers, and happy to talk more about those kinds of things. U of L itself and why it's unique. It is a Research One institution, so that means that all of the faculty, a lot of the faculty in the program are doing the work that we're, publishing the work that we're kind of teaching and kind of stay up to date on the field, which can be important in higher ed as things are shifting very quickly. I mean, I just think about Supreme Court cases. We have folks who are on top of policy and legal issues, and they're researching those things so that fresh update on Supreme Court decision. Things are coming directly into the class right away as those things happen. And we're ranked in the top 10 nationally, especially for online programs. We're military friendly. I can talk about our military programs if that's of interest. Also have a faculty. I say we're scholars, but we're also practitioners. So many of us have led different programs, have been involved in academic affairs. I've been involved in student affairs, and so we bring the theory to practice, and that can be good for students because we can bring our networks and connections too. If you're looking for jobs kind of around the U.S., sometimes the globe now, especially with our military connection, we have those networks that we can help folks find places to go. And we have an extensive alumni network. Given this, especially our program has been online for, gosh, maybe is it 20 years? Susan can help me remember. I don't remember, but we were looking at that last year. So extensive alumni network at U of L. So this, I think what you want to know, like what's the experience like? And some of these highlights I think are key. So first of all, most of our classes are accelerated. So there are very few, there's really only 2 classes in the program that would meet for an entire semester. Most of them are 8-week classes, and then there are some like 3 or 6-week classes, and I can get to like how that plays out semester by semester in a minute. But point is, accelerated classes, and what that allows us to do is help students take one class at a time. Almost all of our students, especially online, as you might imagine, are working full time, and so it's nice to be able to really focus on one class, and then it's done, and then really focus on another, and you can still take 2 classes in a semester, but you're able to focus on one at a time, and students have really found that helpful. We do have a diverse student body ranging from, folks who are in the military. We have folks who are literally all over the globe, though almost everyone is in the U.S. Some people are actively working in higher ed, more like yourself. Some people are looking to do a career transition. It is a 10-class program and 30 credit hours. There's no GRE required. There are some assistantships. I don't know, would you be interested in assistantships?
I mean, probably not with the full-time job already, but
yeah, absolutely. Usually that's the case. And so I would also say most of those are in person, though we, especially after COVID, right, a lot more possibilities have opened up. So we can talk more about that, but it sounds like it might not be of interest to you. The program itself has a focus on policy, inclusion, and equity. And then those 2 courses I mentioned down at the bottom are the internship course, the capstone course, are the ones that meet a full semester. So the internship course, and I'll share them a little bit more, but you get to do something. So sometimes we help people find things here, but many folks, especially who are online, want to do something where they are or where they want to be so they can build a network. And so that's possible too. You can find someone who's a supervisor. That's a loose term. You can meet with every once in a while and kind of reflect on what you're doing. And then the capstone course is really an organizational theory change course. And so that leads you through a process of, if you're needing to make a big change in your organization, what's the process and the theory? And you put all of that together for that capstone course. Questions so far? Keep trucking. Okay, I'll keep trucking. As of right now, we have 6 faculty in the program and are in the midst of hiring someone right now too, especially to work in our course at our Master Educator course, which is with the military. And our expertise kind of spans the gamut. So I and Kelly Peck-Parrott both really specialize in student affairs and studying sort of like student dynamics, student identity, belonging. Casey George and Jake both really look at policy and equity. With Casey a special focus on sort of tuition and those kinds of policies on campus, and Jake a special focus on financial aid and access. Dr. Pfeiffer studies org change really through faculty. She studies faculty affairs, and Dr. Sun studies everything really, but he is a lawyer by trade, so he has a strain of research on our freedom of speech, but he also does a lot of other stuff with workforce development and AI and you name it. He's an early adopter, so he's always on the cusp of good research. This is a picture that I can go into, but I don't have to right now. Really, I just like for students to know there's a pathway, right? If you do see yourself saying, I want to have this laid out, you'll see that if you can see the color change there, really at the end of every arrow there, you'll see that there's kind of 2 classes built together. And basically it means it is kind of designed for 2 classes at a time in a semester, like I mentioned. So that's including a summer, right? Or any summer. And so you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Typically, if you're following this pathway, it takes 5 semesters. Some people take a little bit more and finish earlier. Some people are slower, like they don't want to go in the summer. And so, or for a semester that's really busy at work. And so they take a little bit longer. That's fine too. Once you apply for the program, you have 5 years to complete the program without having to like do tons of paperwork. So if you need a slow track, that slow track is there. And I'll maybe keep going, but I can come back to this if you want to talk about the curriculum. It is designed with 2 electives, and so you'll see here what we've tried to design is when we're offering which electives, so that students can see when they come in, okay, I know that I'm going to be here for an odd summer, and so that course I want to take. Or they might say, they're not going to offer the class that I want in the time that I'm going to be in the program. Maybe I could talk with Jess or my advisor about something else that I might take that would fulfill that need. Does the department, because our department is fairly rich. We have a lot of different programs that work together. And so, for example, we have an HR program in our department, offers classes very similar to us. And so we might could find a different kind of class there that would fulfill the need that someone would have. So we like to share that so folks can kind of plan ahead if they need. I've mentioned this, but kind of this breaks it down a little bit more semester by semester. So typically, all of our classes are online, and they are typically all asynchronous, meaning that you never have to like log in at 5 o'clock weekly. At the same time, almost all of them have some optional synchronous times. And so like I'm teaching a class starting in like February, and we'll have 3 dedicated times from the get-go where everybody's I invite everyone to join in, we talk, I answer student questions. Those kinds of things happen pretty regularly. And I would say faculty are regularly available, both quick by email, but also a Teams chat or a virtual phone call. So I'll start first. If you see the second bullet under spring, summer, fall, usually 8 weeks. So that's usually the traditional semester, spring and fall. If you look down at the summer, because the terms are a little bit different, sometimes we offer really condensed courses. So a 3-week May term, then a 6-week June and July term. And then we do have usually a winter term course, which is 3 weeks in December, ending really early in January. Almost always we offer our legal issues class in that winter period. Some people love that. Some people are like, nope, that's a hard no. That's the only time I get some quiet time. And then those special courses I mentioned, the only 2 that have an exception to that are the internship and capstone course. We just want students to have more time for those things to happen and not rush some of the reflection and just time on the job, those kinds of things that those require. Okay, I think I've covered all of the key things there. A little bit more about the internship class. It's 105 contact hours. And I usually like to talk about this from this very moment, because if you do decide the program, I love for folks to think about now what their dream would be around this class. Like, is it, I really love this person and I want to work like a VP or something. I want to work with this VP and I just want to like learn whatever I can. Some people approach it that way. Some people say, no, I know that I want to work in diversity, equity, inclusion, and I don't have any of that experience. I'm going to spend this time getting that like kind of skill job development kind of thing. Some people say, my life is chaos already. I have like 800 things in the fire. How can I make this work in the stuff that I already have going on? And so we might think of, or I might encourage the folks in that category to think of what's something extra that you could do at work that you're not really doing right now, but that would really like benefit the work and would help you gain a skill or something that would then make everything easy. You could already work with your existing supervisor. You already know the systems. So there are thousands of ways to think about this class, but it's one worth dreaming over, I think. And those are some options that people take with that class. And the idea, as you might imagine, is to like really get into like theory to practice, take some of the stuff that you've learned and kind of apply it through working in higher ed. These are our application deadline really is rolling. We're always accepting students in the program because we do offer these classes. People can start pretty regularly throughout the year, but you'll see the deadlines for starting in each depending on when you want to start. And right now we don't have. I don't think you're interested in the in-person cohort. Am I right? Yeah. Right now, folks really want online, so we're still trying to revamp in-person master's program. What's required? There is a small application fee. transcripts from all of your past universities, if there are many of them, all of the transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation, a goal statement, and then a resume, and that's it. So no GRE is required. I also like to mention to some folks, we also have a graduate certificate, which is a 4-course certificate in organizational change in higher education. And it does stack within the master's program. So we have some folks who say, I'm not sure, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do or what program I want to do. Can I start with a certificate? And then if I like it, maybe I'll move on, and can I usually apply those classes to the master's? And that is usually possible. So the 4 courses kind of fit within the theme of organizational change and then move toward the bigger degree. And there is also a fee for, you have to apply for both, but the fee is smaller for the certificate, and you only have to provide a transcript. So you don't have to provide all the other things. And costs. So tuition for 23-24 is listed here, and for military active duty. Folks often ask about scholarships. There are some small scholarships offered, especially within the College of Ed and Human Development. And if you just Googled, usually those come up, or I can actually find a link before we get off for those. And some of our books, so thinking of books, some of them, our classes don't require them. For example, I do require a book, but I've worked with a library, so I have a free e-copy that students can check out. So we list the maximum books cost we would expect for the whole program, though many people don't spend that much money on books. And I think those are our key details that I like to share with folks. Do you have questions for me, concerns, things you're interested in that I didn't talk about?
No, you hit most of it. I had some questions about the electives, and because I'd seen somewhere online that it was a rolling schedule, so how that worked with wanting to get the electives, but that graphic of when they're offered, different odd, even years, fall, spring, was good to know if some of those are like, oh, I really wanted to take that for planning purposes.
Yeah.
So like if I apply, let's say I got everything together and I saw the most recent one is February 1, but I didn't want to start till the summer. Could I apply to get in and just then be like, hey, could I actually delay the start till summer or fall?
When you apply, the applications, I think that's still the case, Susan, asks you what semester you want to apply for. And so here's Sarah. And so you can say, I want to apply for summer.
And I wanted to jump in and just introduce Sarah. So Sean, Sarah's on the call, and she's actually our admissions coordinator for this degree program. So Sarah is the know-all of applications. So Sarah, I'll let you answer that question as well.
Absolutely. So the application's currently open still for spring of 24 because we have a second session start. But summer 24 and fall 24 are also open for the application. If you apply for a specific semester and then it turns out it's just not going to work for you, a lot of stuff has come up, and you need to kind of push that start date out, that's not a problem at all. You just send me an email and I can make that update for you, and we can push that out up to a year. So once it's gotten to a year, then some of your application items might be considered expired. And so you might need to restart the process, but we can work with you through that.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, that's helpful to know. Yeah, aside from that, no. I was able to get some of it online, but kind of hearing it laid out like that was what I wanted to kind of hear and see to put it all together. But yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we don't really talk about advising, but some students have said that's why they've chosen U of L to me in the past, is so you'll be assigned a faculty advisor. So I advise students online, and then everyone that you saw advises students online. And then Sarah works in our graduate student success office. So there are many things that I ask Sarah. I must email you every day, Sarah, I think, right? So we have a team approach. So you have a faculty advisor, but you also have a whole staff team, well, a small but mighty staff team, and a graduate student success office that kind of helps make sure that we're meeting the deadlines, we're following the processes that U of L needs us to follow. So we kind of have a team advising approach. She does rock.
Well.
Well, thanks, Sean, for joining today. And if other questions come up for you, I'm going to put my email in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I'm
Copy that over.
And our program director is Dr. Jake Gross. He's actually teaching right now, so he couldn't lead our session today. But if you do apply and decide to move forward, he might be in communication through that whole process. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. I appreciate the personalized session today.
Glad you could join. All the best with all your considerations.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And I'll be in touch soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you, Sean. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks. You guys too. Bye.